Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome along to this week's brand new topic for our webinars, which is looking at purchase orders. My name is Michael. I'm going to be your host today. So I'll be doing the talking and the demos as well. We're joined by Jackie, my colleague. She'll be sat in the background and she'll be answering any questions that you might have as well. So if you've got any questions for us along the way on anything that we're discussing today, just pop them into the questions panel. Now, if you haven't joined any of our webinars before, we'll quickly run you through a little bit of housekeeping before we do get started. So you will be automatically muted. You don't need a microphone for these sessions, but if you've got one, it's just going to be muted automatically and you'll find you can't unmute yourself. Now, that means you can't verbally ask any questions, but you will be able to submit them via the questions panel. If you can't currently see the questions panel, you just need to click the little icon on your toolbar down the right-hand side of the screen. And you'll get the little box in the bottom right-hand corner. So that's where you can start typing your comments and your questions. So if you want to interact with us during the session, please do so. If you just want to sit back and relax and watch, that's fine as well. If you want a copy of the slides, some people do like to download a copy of the slides. We try not to make it put too much information on there because all of the up-to-date information is available within our help center. That's where you'll always find the up-to-date information in the most recent, if there's any new legislation or anything like that comes into accounting, it'll all be available in there. So if you want a copy of the slides, which as I say, some people do like, you can download a copy via the link on your toolbar. Now, just before we get started with the webinar today, I'm going to run a quick poll. So I'm just going to quickly select that. Quick, simple question for you. Do you currently use the purchase orders ledger? So just a yes or a no. So I'll just leave that just for 30 seconds or so, just so we get your votes on there. We'll see how many we can get voting on that one as well. So just a quick yes or no. And we'll just gives us an idea of who's attending and what people's backgrounds are with the sort of the topic that we're covering. It's not used for anything else. Okay, we've got just over 80% of you voted there, so we'll close it at that point. Excellent, thanks for that. So there was about a 60-40 split there. So about 40% of you saying yes, you have used it, and the other 60% saying no, you haven't. Now, that might be because you haven't got the right level of software, so you might be on a lower level of Sage 50. The option is only available in Sage 50 Cloud Accounts Professional. So that's, you never know, it might be something that you think, well, yeah, we could do with the purchase orders, and you can always upgrade to that level should you want to. So this is what we're going to cover in the session today. We're going to start by looking at the order process. And if you did join us on the invoicing session, it will be a similar format. We're going to look at the order process following a purchase order through the various stages. So we're explaining not only how you enter an order, but all the way through to updating the essentially the invoice side of it to the supplier account. We're also going to look at that order process and how it links in with your product records and your suppliers. So what point does it impact on that? And understanding that will help you to learn when you're in certain positions. So if you needed to delete an order, what position it's in, what impact does that have, or if you need to amend it. So almost like when you're in the, I suppose the correction stage, you need to do something a little bit different other than just entering it and saving it. So it'll help you to understand what options you've got. We'll take a look at the default options that you've got available, pick up on some of the other options that are available that don't really form part of that order process, but almost do as well. So we'll just look at some of the options because you've got quite a big toolbar in the purchase orders ledger. So we'll pick up on some of those, touch on reports very briefly, and then, as normal, we like to promote some of the upcoming sessions that we've got available for you. Now, we are running a session immediately after this one, starting at 3 o'clock today. So we'll be looking at what's new in version 28.1. If you haven't had a chance to attend that one yet and you would like to come along this afternoon, we are running it regularly. But if you would like to, if you're at a loose end this afternoon for whatever reason and you would like to come along, I'll tell you how you can get registered for that one a little bit later on. Right, so let's get started. So let's start with a little bit of the background first of all for Sage Business Cloud. So availability wise, I've already mentioned it's only available in Sage 50 Cloud Accounts Professional. So if you can't see the option, and this is often what we're finding in some of these webinars that myself and Jackie are running, people are coming along and saying, well, I can't see that option. So what would be the reasons why you can't see that option? Well, basically there are three. There is check that you're using the right level of the software. If you're not on the professional level, you won't see it. There's your access level, or what you would maybe refer to as access rights if you're on an older version. And maybe you've also just hidden the option on the navigation bar. So let's quickly take a look at those first of all, just to hopefully it'll preempt maybe some of the queries that you might have as well. So I am using 28.1 today. It's not quite out yet for everyone to use yet, but it will be soon. And if you are coming along to the webinar, we'll tell you more about that. But we've got purchase orders here on the right hand side. So as I say, make sure you're on the professional level. If you are, it should tell you at the top, professional. If you still can't see it, then it's either going to be your access level. So you would need to, whatever you log in as, if you log in as manager, you've always got full access. But if you log in as any other username, you would need to get in touch with whoever has the manager log on and get purchase orders enabled for you. And the third reason is that you've hidden the option. Now, quite unusual, this one, but you might not even be aware of it. You can right click anywhere on your navigation bar. So it doesn't matter where, just right click. It will list the options that you have access to. So if there's any options that you don't use, maybe the diary, for instance, not very commonly used option, that one. It could be that you've switched it off. So purchase orders, again, you may have at some point think, well, I don't need that option, I've switched it off. So you might be looking, think, well, I've definitely got access to it, but I can't see it. So all you need to do, right click, see if it's there, switch it back on, and then I've got that access to that option then. So for those of you that were sat there thinking, I haven't got it, it's going to be one of those three reasons. Right, let's quickly pop back to the slides and we'll crack on looking at the order process. So the order process is made up of 4 key steps. And for some of you, where you're really efficient with it, you may approach it a slightly different way. So there may be less steps. First, we'll enter the order. The order will then need to be placed on order. So until that point, it's really just a draft order until it's placed on order. So essentially, you've placed the order with your supplier. You'll then need to just wait to receive the delivery, so receiving the goods. And then the final step, this is a bit of a step which some people use and some people don't. The update ledgers. So it's a bit like if you use the invoicing module, you would update it to the ledgers to essentially update that to your customer's account. Now, some people will use update ledgers within the purchase order window, and others will not use that option and actually just go and enter a batch purchase invoice. But there is an update ledgers option there, and we're going to include all steps in today's session. Once we've run through this order process, so you can see the sort of the basic steps, then we are going to come back to this process and look at it from a sort of a supplier and also a product's perspective as well, and how it integrates with that. So I will share my desktop and we'll start entering some purchase orders. Now I've started with almost a blank company today, so I've got no transactions. I've got a handful of products and services, not even a handful. So there's nothing you can see at the moment. The quantity in stock is 0 against all of them. I've got some suppliers, but they've all got a 0 balance against them. And transaction-wise, there's nothing entered at all. So anyway, we're going into purchase orders. I'm going to click New at the top. Got the date, so it's picked up today's date. Obviously, you can change that if required. Choose your account reference, and choose your supplier from the drop-down. You do have an option of clicking new there at that point. Just in case you're wondering about this window as well, because I present on multiple monitors, that side of that window just goes off the side of the screen there. So I'm just going to pick that first one. Obviously, it will pull through the company name and address for you at that point. Now, there are some other boxes there as well. So you could link your purchase order to a project. And if you specify a project, you're going to need to then enter a cost code. Although you can also do that just at individual item line level if required. You can pop in a reference if you have one. Your order number, that will be allocated automatically when you get round to actually saving the purchase order. And then you've got the supplier order number that you can enter as well. Now, if you have entered invoices before, even sales orders, you're going to be able to enter purchase orders. It's so similar. So first thing we want to do is choose a product from the drop-down. Again, if you haven't got that set up yet, you can click new and key it in there and then. I'm just going to do the one item for the time being. So obviously it pulls through your description, quantity. I'm going to change that. I'll set it to 10. And the price will be picked up automatically for you. But again, you can override that if needed. Now, it would then just be a case of repeating that for whatever the purchase order is for. Now, a couple of quick tips that I will quickly mention to you are what you would term the special product codes. So if I type in S1 as an example and then press the tab key, it'll bring up the edit item line. So this would be for almost like a one-off item that you want to include on your purchase order, but it would pick up the default tax code of T1. So your standard rate tax code. You also have S2 available to you. So S2, pretty much the same, but this time it will default to T0 tax code for zero rated goods. And then finally, you've also got S3 available to you. Now, S3 is for almost like a service, a one-off service where you haven't set up a record for that. So everyone that's got purchase orders, because you're on the professional level, you will have S3 available to you as well. So S3 will be available in invoicing and sales order processing as well. Right, let's just leave it as the one item only. Now, when you add an item, obviously you can click into the edit item line window just using this little icon here, or you can press F3, or with your cursor on the line, you can click the option at the top to view the item. So that brings up the edit item line. So in here, you've got your standard description pulled through from the product record that we've got set up. We can add additional comments. You've got your quantity and your pricing information and other information as well. So just okay that. I'm just going to get rid of that line. We'll remove that row just to reset it. So that's the basics of entering the sort of the body of the purchase order. You see you've got a number of tabs down the side here as well. So we're on the details tab. Again, it follows a similar sort of pattern to the invoicing and sales orders. You've got your order tab, so delivery information, notes box, supplier details, and then you've got your custom fields. Custom fields I still think of as being a fairly recent feature or recent addition to the software. You can rename these as well just by going into settings in configuration if you want to use them for something specific. You've got your footer, so that's where you can enter carriage details, settlement terms, or what you may refer to as early payment discount. And then finally, you've got your deliveries tab as well. So as the deliveries come in, it will be recorded. The goods received notes will be created and recorded on this tab against the specific order. Obviously, there's nothing there at the moment. Now, other than that, I'm just going to click save. And I am prompted at this stage, order now or order later. So it might be that I'm just starting to build up a purchase order at this stage. So building a draft. So I might not want to order it just yet, but I am prompted. So I'm going to click order now. Now that's actually 2 steps of that order process that I was talking about when we looked at them on the slide. So do you want to print this order? Obviously you can email it as well. I'm just going to click no to skip past that, and then I'll just be presented with a blank order at that point. So let's close out. So I've got my order. You can see in the on order column, I've got the status of on order. So steps 1 and 2 are both complete. Now, if you were building up a purchase order, so as a draft, and you hadn't placed it on order when you got that prompt, you can just highlight it and then place it on order to update the status. Now that's going to obviously at that point you're going to print it or email it, or maybe you've just placed that order over the phone with your supplier. We're going to come back to these options a little bit later on when we look at some of the other options on the toolbar at the top. So let's say we've placed that order with our supplier, and then it's really just a case of being sat there or waiting for those goods to be delivered. Now, if the order has been received in full, we can literally just click Received Deliveries. So with this one selected, do be careful with this one because it will deliver everything on that order. It will receive it all. And if you've got multiple orders selected, it will do it for those as well. So if we click Receive Deliveries, and it'll ask us, do you wish to update stock and record delivery for the selected orders? I'm going to click Yes. And it tells us at this point a goods received note has been generated for the order, and it's stored under that Deliveries tab within the order itself. I can print a goods received note if I want one, or I can print it later. And you'll see now that the on order status is blank and the delivered is flagged as being complete. And essentially that's the stock booked in at that point as well. So it's booked it in. Now the next step, if I was just following this straightforward, simple purchase order process, we've entered the order, we've placed the order, we've now received the delivery, and the final step is the one that I mentioned, some people use, some people don't, is the update ledgers. Now, if I click update ledgers, again with this one selected, I'll click update ledgers. So it takes me into this window. Let's just maximize it so you can see that a little clearer, get rid of a few of the background distractions. And we can either, at this point, it'll show us that we ordered 10, we've had 10 delivered, there's nothing outstanding, and at the moment we haven't already been invoiced for anything at this stage. So we've got 10 left to be invoiced for. So assuming we've received that invoice and we've been invoiced for the full amount, what we can do is just click update. If we'd only been sort of invoiced for part of the amount, what we can do is we can highlight this specific line, click edit, and we can start amending quantities. But otherwise, it's going to assume that you want to invoice or enter the invoice for everything that's been delivered so far. So we'll just leave that line selected, click update. It fills in the information into the batch purchase invoice window for us. We can make amends at this point if I need to, but otherwise I just click save. Now I do get a message about projects. If you've entered and recorded project information against a purchase order, don't fill in the information again on the batch purchase invoice window. It'll not pull it through automatically. So if you've already entered it on the purchase order, that's fine. Don't enter it again, otherwise you'll start double counting your costs, and that's what that message is for. So I just want to click yes, I want to continue, and you'll see it now says posted full. So let's quickly run through that one more time. So I'm going to click new, choose my account. I'll just leave everything else as is. We'll enter, choose the same item. Do a different amount this time. So let's say 20. And then I'm just going to save it. I'm going to place it on order. So I want to order now. I'm not going to print it at this point. Close out. And that's it on the list there. Now, last time we highlighted that line and we went to receive deliveries. And obviously everything that I placed on order, it got booked in. So the full quantity of the whole order. Now, if I've only received a part delivery, then you can either go via amend deliveries. So we can click in and amend it at that point and click deliver. Or alternatively, we can also go through the route of a received note. Now, the received note can also be used if you've got multiple orders from the same supplier. So rather than me highlighting this one and going in amend deliveries and me just making amends to order number 2 in this case and saying, right, I've received, say, 15 of the 20 and then recording that as being delivered. If I've got multiple orders, I could highlight them on the list. In fact, let me quickly do that. I'll just do a third order for the same supplier. I'll use a different record, different product record this time. We'll say 25 of them. I'll save it, order it, click no to print it. So again, they're both in the same position. So if I highlight the 2 of them and go into amend deliveries, so you can see we can toggle between them. So we would need to go onto order number 2, make whatever amends we need, and then we can toggle onto order number 3, etc. However, if I go via the received note option, choose my supplier, it will list everything that's essentially ordered from that supplier. So we got orders 2 and 3. We can then just come in and say, right, we've received X amount. So let's say it was 15 of those, and maybe we received the full allocation of this one here that I've set up. Then all I would do, click save, and you're into, again, goods received note. I'll just print it later. And then again, it filters the list. So it tells me now I've only got 5 left to, I'm only waiting on 5 at that point. Right, so that is the basic process. Now, what I want to quickly pick up on next is how the options integrate with the other areas of the software. So the key areas that we looked at there when you're working through a purchase order is it's going to integrate with your products list and also your suppliers. And also when you update the ledgers, obviously it'll update things like your nominal codes list, etc. and your transaction screen. So I just want to quickly run through it one more time and just give you an idea at what stage the various steps update your products and your supplier records. Okay, let's start again then. So new, choose the same account. And we'll choose that stock record. Let's just put a quantity on of 20. And we'll leave that price as it is. And I'll just save it. And I'll say order later at this stage. So that was order number 4 that I've just entered there. Now, if we pop into products at that point and have a look at the activity for that item that we just placed on order, you can see at this stage the only movement is from orders 1 and 2. So that one I've just entered, it's not there yet. So it doesn't reflect in the activity because all I've done is I've entered that draft order, as it were. We'll look at suppliers at this stage. Again, having a look at the activity. Again, we can see only order number 1 is impacting on the activity at this stage. But if I was to go into the supplier record and have a look at the orders, it will list it. So I can see a summary of the orders that I've placed with this supplier and what sort of stage it's at as well using the on order status delivered and posted. Right, we'll go back to purchase orders. And we'll place it on order. So with it selected, we'll place the order. So yes to that one. So that's now on order. Again, if we pop back to products and services, have a look at the stock record, pop into the activity, you'll see there's still nothing there at the moment, but the quantity on order has updated at the bottom. Again, supplier-wise, we haven't made any change yet. All we're doing is we're changing the status of the order and what position it's in. Right, this time we'll receive delivery for that one. So yes to that, print later. And that's now completed. So if we go onto the products and service records, into the stock item record, have a look at the activity, we'll see that there's a goods in there. Order number 4 for the full amount that we'd ordered. So that's now fully in there as far as the order is concerned and the product itself. If we have a look at the supplier record, again, have a look at the activity, still nothing on there relating to order number 4. So the transaction against the supplier activity, that will occur when we go into purchase orders and we highlight it and then we choose the update ledgers option. So I'll just click update. I'll accept all of the information it pulls through, click save, just click yes to continue past that message, and that's now done. And if we go back to suppliers, have a look at the activity of that one, and you'll see transaction number 2, it's a purchase invoice, and it's from order number 4. So that's now on there. So hopefully that will give you, if you can understand at the point at which each sort of interacts, or at what point the product activity or the supplier activity gets updated, and then it will help you give you a good understanding and give you a good fighting chance when you come across issues and you think, right, well, I've entered that order, I just need to cancel it, or I need to reverse the effects of it, or things like that. There's loads of information like that as well available within our help center. If you have downloaded the slides as well, some of those links will work for you. I've included some of the links on some of the other slides, which we'll see in a moment. For the some of the links that will then work for you to some of the more commonly used help articles. Right, let's pop back to the slides. Next, I just want to quickly pick up on some of the defaults. Now, I don't want to cover this in too much detail because they're quite straightforward, but I think 3 key points from the invoice and order defaults area to highlight for you: numbering, the prompt to order stock, and also the update ledgers tab. Let's have a quick look at that. So we're going to go into settings, invoice and order defaults, and 3 things to pick out. First one I'll pick out is options at the top. So you can set your purchase order numbering system, whatever you want that to start from. So it's telling me the next one will be essentially number 5. So that if you're coming from other software, or you just want to start at a certain number, that's where you can specify that. The prompt to order stock, which is this option here. So if when you're entering a purchase order and then you go to click save, that prompt that was popping up for me, do you want to place this on order now? So you get that yes or no. If you don't want that prompt to come up automatically, then you can just remove the tick from that box. What you'll then need to do is, once you've saved the purchase order, a bit like I showed you on order number 4, you would have need to place that on order manually. But if you do want it to come up, just to maybe save yourself a little bit of time, it should be ticked by default. The final one I want to mention in this area is the update ledgers. And it's, excuse me, it's this bit here. So when you're updating and you're choosing the update ledgers option within purchase orders, what do you want it to pull through automatically for you? So you've got the two fields, you've got the reference field and the extra reference field. By default, when it pushes the information from the purchase order to the batch invoice screen, it will pop the order number, so your internal order number, into the reference field, and in the extra reference field, it doesn't pop anything by default. So you can choose what you want from these drop downs. So for the reference, you could choose either the order number. And I'll probably encourage you to stick with that one, to be honest. You can choose the order reference if you've manually entered one of those, or the supplier order number. For the extra reference, you've got the extra option of having nothing update to that field. You might just want to key something in manually. You can always come in and change these at any time. Again, if you've downloaded the slides, that link to the invoice and order defaults article will work for you. Right, let's move on again. And I just want to pick up on some of the options. Now, and again, I've put some of the more commonly used articles and links to them on the bottom of the slide there. So more getting in amongst not just the purchase orders module itself, but getting in amongst the troubleshooting that I was on about. If you need to cancel a purchase order, how do you go about doing that? Or delete or maybe reverse one. Maybe you've delivered a purchase order in error. So again, information like that is available in the help center. So on your toolbar within the purchase orders, there's a great big list of options for you. And I just want to pick out a couple of key bits for you. I'm not sure why I've got key options hyphen reports there. We'll come back to reports in a minute. I'm not sure about that one. But we will have a quick look at reports. So 3 key points is the duplicate option, the recurring items, and also quick printing or using the email option. I think these days, much more likely you're going to email documents. So let's just take a quick look at those, and then we'll also pick up on reports as well, just to almost like point you in the right direction. Right, back to my screen. We'll go back into purchase orders. Now you'll see most of your options are grayed out. I'm assuming you'll recognize why. As soon as you highlight something, the options that are available for you at that point will then become active. Similar to the option that we looked at before, the navigation bar, when we're seeing the purchase orders option might be hidden. If there's any of these options you don't use, like print list, for instance, you might just think, well, I want to declutter the list. We just want to hide some icons, it's confusing. So if you want to get rid of any options, just right click anywhere on your toolbar, and you could have a look and see which options you do and don't use. Print list I might get rid of. I might never send the list to Excel. I'll right click and find it on the list, and again hide that one. I can always right click and switch the options back on if I wanted to. Right, anyway, the 3 options I wanted to quickly mention to you are, first of all, the duplicate option. So all you would do for that one, if it's a repeat order that you want to place, just highlight the original, click duplicate, and it will generate a brand new purchase order for you, copying the details of the original. So nice, simple one, that one. Next, recurring items. Some of you may have been at Jackie's recurring items webinar, which we ran a couple of weeks back, I think it was. If you didn't get a chance to attend that one, watch the recording. Again, the link will be included on your follow-up email. So recurring is used, this option here. Recurring would use where maybe you always placing a repeat order. you do that on a regular basis. So you might order goods on a monthly basis. So you can, rather than you coming in and say, right, this one I want to duplicate it or entering it again from scratch, you can just say, right, I want to create a recurring purchase order based on that one, and you can set your frequency, etc. It will then just generate that for you. Margaret, you were just asking, can you rearrange the position of buttons on the toolbar? So you can't. So you are restricted. I think it's a good idea though. So it's something that I'm sure many people have requested in the past. So I would encourage you to submit that as an idea if that's something that you would be interested in. If anyone else has ideas like that, just go into Home and then you would just scroll down, find the roadmap option here, follow that through, and via Sage City, you can put in your requests. Now, if you are coming along to 28.1, or maybe you've already attended that one, you'll know that loads of requests have gone into the version 28.1 update, which will be available soon. Over, I think it was about 22 or just over 22 of those suggestions were incorporated this time round. So we're starting to look at that more and more to bring those options in. So if you get a chance, pop it in there. Right, final option I want to quickly mention, these two, quick print, print, quick print, and email. So again, you've got the two options. Now you'll probably start with print. Initially, it'll say no favorites have been added, but if you go into the layouts folder on the left, you'll see there's loads of layouts. Of course, just like with invoicing, you can create your own layouts, but what I would normally recommend in that sort of situation, find the one that's close to what you want, and then you can start tweaking it. So if you want to add your logo or additional text or different colors or move stuff around, you can do that. Just a case of highlighting your layout, and then you've got access to the report designer using the edit option at the top. Now the quick print and email options, the idea with these is that they just give you one-click access. So if I wanted to email it as it stands, I would highlight this order, go into print, go into layouts, find the one I was after. So let's just say that one. And I would say, right, I want to email that. Tells me it's been successful. I'll just okay that. That's it done. If I've got that layout set as essentially my quick email or quick print, it means I've then really got one-click access to it then. So rather than me going in, choosing the layout and say I want to print it or email it, it will just do it automatically using the default settings. First time you access these options as well, it will ask you what layout do you want to use. So I've already got mine set, I think, for email, so I'll just click it. Tells me it's been successful. That's it done. Easy as that. Again, if you're trying to email, if you're finding any difficulty getting that sorted or getting it to work, have a look at the information that's available within our help center. Final one I wanted to quickly mention to you is the reports option. Now the reports option, again, you're provided with a list of folders down the left here. Favorites will always be the first one that's listed. Again, just split into different areas. So again, have a look at what's available. You can't do any harm by running reports. If you get stuck or you need a little bit of help, you know where we are. Right, now that brings us sort of towards the end of the demos. I'll try and help Jackie out with some of the questions in just a moment. Margaret, you mentioned there, will the emailed order be in my Outlook sent folder? It depends. It's one of the settings that you can specify if you're integrating with Outlook. You can say, right, I want it to go into a specific folder and almost like hold it there as a draft email with your purchase order attached, ready for you to then maybe open, add any amends, and then click send. Or you can have it so it sends it automatically. So again, you'll find information about things like that within the Help Center articles. If you get stuck on that though, you know where we are. Right, just going to quickly pop back to the slides just to try and promote some of the other webinars that we've got coming up and some of the existing ones that we're repeating as well. So we've got some new topics coming up over the next couple of weeks, introducing some credit control themed webinars. So starting with age reports next week, and then the following week we'll be looking at, again, very specific areas, these customer statements. So if you want to learn how to produce and maybe email them out, and that can be a big time saver, that one, emailing them out if you want already. Or if you just want that good understanding of the age reports and how you can use them, again, come along to that one. As I mentioned, what's new in version 28.1, it's a really popular session that we're running at the moment. If you haven't had a chance, get yourself signed up for one. Again, remember to sign up, although the links will be included on your follow-up email. Easiest way to sign up for a webinar is within your software, go to the home page, and then you've got your free webinars link over here on the right. Give it a click. My nose runs really slowly at this point, particularly on a webinar. It will pop up. It's always when I'm about to think, oh, that's not going to work. It'll pop up for me. There we go. So on here, if you are wanting to sign up for this afternoon's webinar, we're starting that one at 3 o'clock. Get into that one. Click register now, pop in your details, and you'll get the email straight back. Any other webinars you want to attend as well, they're all on there. Have a good look through, see what's coming up. As usual, if you can't attend, don't worry about it. We will, if you have registered, we will send the link to the recording out afterwards. But as I say, that's probably the easiest way. So into homepage and then free webinars. Well, you've also got this one for the time being as well, for version 28.1. Some fab features in there. Right, now that brings us to the end of the session. We'll just pick up the final few questions and then we'll end the session at that point. Remember, you've got the practice company, the practice data, and also the demo data as well. A lot of people coming on the webinars aren't aware of those. So do have a look on the file menu, file, open, and then you'll have an option of demo data and practice data. So if you want to have a try of these options, that when we're, maybe you've never used purchase order processing before. 60% of you said you hadn't at the beginning of the session. So hopefully this is giving you some food for thought. But if you want to have a little play around with it, see if it works in the right way for you, or just gain your confidence on features within the software, do use those. The default logons for both options will be manager and no password. Right, okay. Now there will be a short survey pop up as you leave the session today. If you can take a minute to share any thoughts or even ideas you have for other topics you'd like to see covered, if you can take a minute to complete that survey, it'd be greatly appreciated. Myself and Jackie love to read your comments. So any thoughts you want to share, pop them on there. Your follow-up email, you'll receive that within around about an hour. There will be links to register for the future webinars and also watch recordings. The recording of this afternoon's session, that should be available by about 5 o'clock this afternoon. So if you want a bit of a recap on anything we covered, maybe you want to follow it through while you work through in the demo data or the practice company, then give it a try. Otherwise, many thanks for coming along. Hope you have enjoyed it. Take care, stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you again. Many thanks.